Hi, welcome to Paige Grows Design. Today I have a fashion project, a fun fashion project, somewhat timely for Halloween, but I think they can be worn all year long. They're a pair of painted tennis shoes, or in this case, pen and ink deck shoes. I got my deck shoes at Uniqlo. They are seasonal, but deck shoes are ubiquitous and can be found most anywhere, the Gap, Amazon, and I will include patterns for everyone to follow, and all you would need to adjust to whatever deck shoe you have is a copier that you're able to change the size of my image. Like if you're making kids shoes, of course you're going to scale it down, but looks a little complicated, but it isn't. It's really very easy. And like I said, you're going to need deck shoes and permanent markers. In my case, I have BIC permanent markers and also Sharpies. You need a light gray, a dark gray, and a black. Now, you need a black fine tip, a black fine Sharpie, so it's just slightly heavier than this extra fine one, and light gray for the skeleton foot, and dark gray for the shading on the skeleton. And if you're wanting to map out your own first, so like I did a couple different versions. Wanted to see if I did a bone color with brown and traditional like brown henna, and then I did the gray and black, which is the one I ended up choosing. And I also tried it with a light gray and blue, thinking that I would do the henna design over top with a dark indigo, but it just didn't show up quite as well. Maybe if I would have had darker blue markers. And in the end, I chose the gray and black. It showed up the best. And to get started, I'm going to show you something so that if you want to map out your own, I take a tissue. So I lay a tissue over my shoe, and I take my fingernail and I just crease along the edge of that sole. And up around the tongue, just right along that seam. And in the end, you get the outline. How well you can see that. And from there, I cut that out. And I trace it on paper. And then I sketch my skeleton foot. And for your purposes, I'll include a finished drawing on my blog, and you'll be able to cut out the skeleton foot. Now on this shoe, I traced around it this way, and all you're going to do is take that same image that you cut out And you're going to flip it over and trace it. Now you can use a disappearing sewing pen, disappearing ink sewing pen. I always have to struggle with mine. The ink disappears before I get finished with it. And so I'm going to use a pencil. I'm just going to lightly sketch around that. Take your light gray pen and the best way to get even coverage when you're doing this is to keep a wet edge. And what I mean by that is to draw along and stay small and work along that edge, always keeping it wet. And then you'll get a nice even coverage. Don't worry if it's somewhat uneven. We're going to come in and put the shading in after we've done the henna design. And I forgot to tell you, you will need like a cap from something that's usually about a 1-inch circle, because we're going to start by placing this flower. And you're going to come down from the top. What I considered is where your pant legs would maybe fall, so that this showed, if you still got enough detail from the skeletal bones. And in my case, I came down 2 1/4 inches from this top. You're going to take your pencil again and just draw a circle, and that's what we're going to base our design off. We aren't going to ink that circle, but we are going to base our design off of it. Now if you want, as part of that drawing that you cut the skeletal foot out, you can then cut flower out and trace around it. There'll be a petal down to the toe. You're going to come off of this circle here with your black extra fine. Put in that first petal. Now you're going to double that petal. And center that. Make a dot and then spiral out. You aren't going to come all the way, you're just going to make a small spiral. And make scallops inside of, around that circle. We're going to follow the circle, but in between the edges of each petal. Now you're going to another arch, or another tiny petal inside there. And it's going to be a double as well. This outer petal, I'm going to make it a little more intense by start at the top and just make straight lines and come down each side. go back to the center here. And this is going to be a pattern we're going to use through the whole thing. Just going to draw straight lines out, radiating like spokes out from that center spiral. Maybe 1/8 inch apart. Now we're going to put a scallop and join those. Now we're going to go in, we're going to double up this little scallop. Switch to a Sharpie with a little thicker tip. And we're going to go in each of these scallops. We're going to put a dot in there. And we're going to fill in. Are there any just sort of polka dot that whole area between the inner flower and that scallop. Same with this area here. I'm just going to put some polka dots in there. Now you're going to darken up, so where you made that double scallop, you can either do this with the medium tip or the fine tip, whichever works best for you. You're going to fill in flowers finished. I'm going to do this part right here on both sides. And just like we did this flower, we're going to come down along here. And I made these a little closer together than the flowers. Radiate out just as if it were spoke. So you're going to change the angle as you get on this curve. Both sides, and you'll also do along the bottom sole here. So all of this, do that all at the same time. Go in and scallop the top. Parentheses right along here. Come down here. Start. Parentheses. And we're going to make this dark. So create another line there. side here, this parentheses. I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to color those in. Now we're going to put the fringe on the parentheses. So up here, right here. And just like we did the petals and the flower in this area right here, I'm going to come off of here. Now we're going to top this off just like we did the others. A scallop. Don't worry if the design tucks under other design or overlaps. That's what it's supposed to do. Okay, now we're going to add this flower here and inside the parentheses. So, just like we did on this one, you're going to make a little dot and then spiral out from that. And you're going to want to intersect. Same with these. These can be smaller. You're going to put the spokes in again. Top them off. And because I didn't get that quite round, I'm just going to make it part of the design. So I'm going to make that inner flower just somewhat more bold. So don't be concerned if you make a mistake. There's easy ways to make it work in the end. This one at the top, we're going to put a scallop. Make that flower just slightly larger. And we're going to bridge over every 2 petals. We're going to make that a double. And we're going to come in and darken that up a little bit. Not by making it completely black, but just little hash marks in there. Now we're going to put polka dots in this area right here. Finish the flower on the other side. Now we're going to move on to flowers on the side. Again, we're going to do that little, we're going to bridge this. Flat spiral out. We're going to go to the corner. Back corner. Same thing. Look at the center of that flower in the corner. Now we're going to go to the very middle with those two. Again, we're going to put this next to the flower. Tuck these two little flowers in between those. Come in between. Make that center again. And that center is going to run into those other flowers. Make that spiral just slightly darker. Now we're just going to do some hashes in along that spiral. And just a couple things to finish this off. The back. We're going to put, just like we did before, that petal design, sort of this leaf shape. I'm going to put one at the top, and I'm going to take a sort of resembles a needle. And then from there, I'm going to scallop 2 big scallops. And we're going to double it up. We're going to and just some finishing touches. Bring that peak down in there. And at the end of each of these petals, I'm going to come off with just the slightest curve. give it just the slightest little bit of flair. I don't all have to go in the same direction. Now you'll repeat the flower pattern that you did on this side, on the other side. And then you'll take your dark gray, in my case Sharpie, and we're going to go down along these bones. I'm going to use this other drawing as a reference. Just really gonna just scrub in some details along the edge. No one's really gonna know the difference unless they're your podiatrist. I dotted along the edge when I wanted a fainter line. Just dot along. Now take your black Sharpie, and where you've shaded with that dark gray, just come in with some dots. I'm just going to create a little more detail, darken that up slightly. There they are. Now I still have to finish the inside up there, but that's pretty good. Hope you like the project. I hope you make some because I think they're really cool.